Thank you, Nick. Thank you for including me. This is my favorite place to come and listen, so it's thrilled to be able to be here as well. I was thinking about what the subject matter was, and I made the mistake recently of telling some intimate details about my life, and they persuaded me to get on my memoir and start revisiting it and re-looking at it. So what I'm going to read tonight is a couple of excerpts from that, and at one point it'll be obvious how it relates to the program. In another way, it's not so obvious, so I'll tell you the subtext. I was raised by wolves. I was not so much born as hatched, not so much conceived as concocted, or so I was led to believe by my maternal grandmother, Wilhelmina, one otherwise unremarkable summer's day in the side yard of her pink and gray Clearwater, Florida, get as far away from the winter as you possibly can, retirement house. My grandmother said to me that Friday afternoon, just before a rain shower, as we sat outside in aluminum folding chairs with plastic green and white plaid crosshatching, "Your father got your mother pregnant with you because he heard it would cure her arthritis." I know this to be true. Not that pregnancy cures arthritis. And not that my father actually said that, and thinking that it was true, set his seed in motion, but that my grandmother actually uttered those exact words to me almost a half a century ago. Memories are prone to all kinds of things: exaggeration, forgetfulness, amnesia, denial. But that one moment stands clear and firm, as much for me now as it did at the age of 12 or so when I first heard her say it. Maybe it's because of the absurdity of it, or the gravity, or the import, that it has been etched in my mind so deeply that the vision of that afternoon has never left, never wavered. I don't take many things too seriously. I never have, but. And that one sentence, the reason for my very existence, was brought into question. And that moment, my father, whom I grew to dislike and distrust more and more with each passing year, became a buffoon. And my mother, already seriously ill and burdened with one child, was either delusional, complicit, or an unwilling, witting participant in a failed experiment. And any way you look at it, I was not wanted. Every person has their lifelines, and I am no exception. My aunt and uncle, Jan and Bob, were, for lack of a better word, mine. They were a mixed blessing: toxic and encouraging, fearful and enterprising, passive and aggressive, alcoholic, bipolar, and dear to my heart. But if I hadn't been related to them, I would have cut a wide path to stay out of their sphere of influence. Jan was my father's sister. Bob was the man she married on the spur of the moment, just months after breaking off her engagement to Rob, a handsome law student who worshipped her and showered her with gifts. But Jan knew in her heart that a relationship with someone like Rob could never work out. Where was the angst? Where was the roller coaster ride of emotions? Where was the indifference or the impending doom? So instead of walking down the aisle with a man of substance, she went Bob. Bob, who had no real prospects for a future, no backbone, and no chin. Bob would never amount to much of anything, and perhaps that was the attraction. Bob was silly putty. He had about as much color and was equally pliable. And he was someone that my aunt could try to mold and shape, coerce and control. Jan worked at a local department store, the one that had that certain cachet about it, the one that carried Yves Saint Laurent and Pierre Cardin, fine china and Waterford crystal. She worked her way up the corporate ladder and earned a decent salary because she'd established a reputation for herself as a person who got things done. She was always a hard worker. Even at home, there were a never-ending series of projects. Their house was always in a state of transition. New skylights for the den, new wallpaper for the living room, a new mantel for the fireplace. And as the seasons changed, so did the paint colors, the decorations, and the window treatments. As soon as one project ended, two more would begin. Neither of them ever stopped moving long enough to reflect on anything. But as far as my 10 or 12 or 16-year-old eyes could tell, They were the only people in my small world of welfare checks and food stamps who had made it, or had achieved, in essence, the American dream. They owned a cute little Cape Cod home in an upscale suburban neighborhood. They always drove a late model car. And they spent their vacations in fancy resorts like Top Notch in Vermont. Sadly, not so much for the skiing as for the cocktail lounges. But I was fortunate because they took great pleasure in introducing me to the finer things in life, to things I never would have encountered had it not been for them. They invited me to spend weekends with them at the rental homes and beach communities and ski resorts, and they took me out to elegant restaurants, ordered me duck à l'orange, and instructed me on the finer aspects of dining. It was their interest in these things, their desire for the finer things in life, that was my first introduction to meals that didn't come out of a can and to vacations that didn't presuppose sleeping on a relative's sofa.